we have the right to inhabit our land, to use our land.
Our culture is about sustaining that relationship with the plants, the animals, in a forest.
I did start drawing a lot in the residential school, really not knowing my culture and traditions.
And I'm very proud to be here today. My name is Halos, and this is my squeal.
Welcome to Voices of Shishalh, and today we're coming to you from the mountaintops. We're about 5,000 feet overlooking Shishalh and the valley, and overlooking the seas and waterways. It's probably the most beautiful place on earth, and it has a name, this mountain we're on.
Yeah, Craigan.
Craigan Mountain. Today's show is going to be a little bit somber in as much as we've got some issues that need to be spoken of, and they have been spoken of at a national level. And Chief, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission went on for 6 years. It had 7,000 interviews. It basically underlined 94 recommendations for the government to follow. And as it stands now, is there anybody going to implement them? There's an election coming up in October. Have you heard?
Yes, and we think that the judge, the way he's handed down his decision, will have to force the government to bring forth reconciliation to the day scholar case.
And Garry Feschuk, who's our councillor and former chief, actually went on invitation to Ottawa, and he was invited to speak in front of the people who had gathered on the day the report came down. This report that took 6 years. So let's go to Ottawa, where Garry's speaking, and let's hear his version, his story, and how he describes the anguish of the day scholars.
Itukwile, Amash, Ukmisiaya, Akasta, Hakanaktan Squish, Onumps Chalap, Ukmisiaya. We now recognize that it was wrong to separate children from rich and vibrant cultures and traditions, that it created a void in many lives and communities, and we apologize for having done this. We now recognize in separating children from their families, we undermine the ability of many to adequately parent their own children and sowed the seeds for generations to follow. We apologize for having done this. We now recognize that far too often these institutions gave rise to abuse or neglect and were inadequately controlled. And we apologize for failing to protect you. Not only did you suffer these abuses as children, but as you became parents, you were powerless to protect your own children from the suffering from the same experiences, and for this we are sorry. The burden of this experience has been on your shoulders for far too long. The burden is probably ours as a government, as a country. This is a section from the apology from the Prime Minister. I used this in my affidavit when we went before the courts. If they were sincere about this apology, we wouldn't have to be going to court to seek redress for the day scholars who are left out of the process altogether.
We're going to push harder. More doors are going to be opened, and we're going to look at, continue to seek redress for our people. And it's a human rights issue. It's a human rights issue that impacts not only the Shishalh and the Kamloops, it impacts every First Nation from coast to coast in this country.
We've teamed with Kamloops to actually champion this cause because at every community meeting we go to, our community want to know what's happening to the day scholars who are left out of the process, and we gave them our word that we would try to see this right to the end to seek that justice for the day scholars.
You're not only doing it on behalf of your citizens and your nation and membership, but all of the First Nations people that have endured that suffering. They did attend, and it really is a cultural genocide.
Yeah.
And the Crown has an obligation to respond and respect and to deal with that issue. You know, it's outstanding. If the political strategy doesn't work, then you also have to look at the legal strategy, you know, to bring about justice and to deal with this issue. So I commend you for your leadership on that, and as well Chief Shane Goffredson on the Day Scholar class action suit.
So it may take a while, but we're moving in the right direction, and hopefully one day we can stand up and say our people are totally healed. Now we're seeking redress through the courts for the day scholars. We've given that commitment, and we are going to go right to the end, and we seek that justice for our day scholars. We even started a webpage for people to get involved, and it's called justiceforDayScholars.com, and it'll be active before we leave Ottawa and head our way back home. Every nation that had a school in their community, and they had day scholars, they have an opportunity to opt in. We do have an opt-in model. That's why our information is getting out there more and more. While we're here in Ottawa, we're going to start meeting with some government leaders to get that message to them. I was appalled when I asked our lawyers to read out a section of the apology from the Prime Minister, and the lawyer stood up. That's not what the Prime Minister meant. Well, what did he mean? Reconciliation has to be more than just denial, and has to be more than just words. Those actions have to become alive. That's one of the things that has to happen, because these cycles of abuse that happen from the residential schools has gone on for far too long, and we need to put an end to it so that our children will never have to suffer again.
And at the end of the week, there was another piece of good news for day scholars, was there not?
Yeah, within days, Gary returning from Ottawa, we got notice that the judge had certified at 3 levels. And the 3 levels meaning that not only the present day ones, but the intergenerational ones. So the children of the parents that were day scholars are going to be affected. They're going to be given a decision also.
It's excellent. After the break, you're going to meet some of the people behind the scenes, people that maybe you haven't ever met or seen or don't know what they do, but they work for this nation, and ultimately they work for you.
As you can see, the cedar hat that I'm wearing is a Haida cedar hat. I do cedar harvesting every year. We make cedar capes, cedar leggings, aprons. We use every part of the cedar tree. We use the boughs just for our cleansing and brushing off ourselves. Even in our canoes, we use the cedar tumut to protect our people. We use every part of the wood itself for our canoes, our longhouses, our paddles, our weapons, our boxes for storage. We use it for almost everything, and that's why we call it the mother tree, the tree of life.
The Red Cedars, it has one story for the Coast Salish people, and that is that once a long, long time ago, there was a man who was very resourceful. He watched over his people and he took care of them whenever he saw that they needed something, whether it be shelter or food. He would go help them or give it to them. And the Creator looked down and saw this man and seen that he was good, caring and sharing and loving. And they said, this is the way all men should be. This is the way all men should strive to be. He said, when this man dies, I will make an example of him. Where he dies, a tree will grow, and that tree will be the Western Red Cedar, and that tree will be useful to all the people to provide for them, as that man provided for them as well. So that's why our Western Red Cedar has so many uses. Actually, in the spring, the tips are edible as well.
And we're back on Voices of Shishalh, and I think a lot of people say, what exactly do all those people do over there in the admin building? I'm sure you hear that lots. And we decided we would do a piece on that, Chief, because everybody's very busy and they're working very hard, and they're working with a quality you don't often find in a workplace. And many of them get little recognition, so this is their time.
Yeah, for sure. When I became the leader, I made it a point that we would surround ourselves with the expertise that we're going to need to build our future. And part of that expertise is people who have knowledge in finance to help us get on the right path and help us stay correct and be very transparent to our people. And that's a process we've taken, and part of that transparency is to develop the communication staff that we have today. And all these efforts are done with the idea that we would incorporate our own people. Our people are shadowing these other people. We have junior accountants, we have junior lawyers, we have junior economists. All these people are going to be stepping into their roles in the very near future. Leadership, we're talking about people who are going to be taking huge business courses and getting bachelor's and master's degrees. These are the children of our future. These are the children, and the future that we have is going to be extremely important for these young people to be knowledgeable about all those factors, because they're going to step into the leadership role here very soon.
So what you've done is set the bar high, created the opportunity, and then you'll welcome them when they're ready. And I think that one of the ways is, for example, you have a crack negotiating team, which goes up against people who are extraordinarily professional at the provincial side or the proponent side. And now you've got all guns blazing so that the best deals can be cut and can be enshrined for the nation and its people.
Yes, because I'm one of the elder statesmen for our band, I've had the experience to witness what had happened here over the last 50 years or more, where when we went to sit down and negotiate with the government, they would have highly specialized teams sitting across from us. And what we had in our table was maybe one or two older chiefs. What I realized today is that we needed to have a level table. We needed to start a level table where we had highly professional, trained legal people on our side.
And Chief, the difference between the way it was negotiated, which was done as well as could be expected from people who weren't doing it every day and weren't MBAs and lawyers, and with your team, what are the dollars and cents and jobs on what you're going to create?
Well, it's going to create for our people a proper way of entering into the business era. And what's required to enter these big businesses is money. We need to create a revenue that is equal to the challenge. And that's what these teams are helping us to do. They will bring in millions and millions of dollars. They will bring in agreements where we're going to be revenue sharing with the governments. And we need this now to build our future.
So you're building capacity?
I'm building capacity. I'm building confidence in our young people that they can compete at the same level. The playing field is going to be level when we negotiate these agreements, and this will give our young people a chance to create a future for themselves.
So Chief has said basically that he's bringing in top-line professionals. He's going to do things in a different way to bring in more money, not leave so much money on the table. And some of those professionals are featured in this vignette, and you get to meet the people who work in the administration creating the future for the community kids.
Education department oversees all of our programs from really 0 to 65. So we have our early childhood development programs, which consists of Mom et Mon Child Development Center and supported child care and early childhood development. We also oversee the public schools from kindergarten to grade 12. So we assist and participate in our children's education in those programs. As well, we do adult education, which is community-based programs. We do trades programs, first aid programs. We also do post-secondary programs for band members wanting to go on to university or college. The main role of the education department is to advocate on behalf of band members, to ensure that the band members are getting the best, highest quality education possible. And if any supports are needed in place in order for them to achieve that, we make sure that that happens. Seeing children and youth and adults be successful in education. So when I see somebody graduating or completing a program, that's the success for us, that we were able to make a small difference in their education goal.
Hi, my name is Michael Maxwell. I'm the Director of Health, Child and Family Services and Social Development. Our department primarily is about wellness and promoting wellness in our individuals, in our community, and in our families. So most of the programs we do are related in some way, shape, or form to wellness and health. We have nurses, we have home support workers, we have dietitian, we do a lot of work around healthy eating and work with chronic disease management, chronic disease prevention, drug and alcohol, work, support, recovery. We have an Aboriginal wellness worker that works with families and children involved with mental health. We have a family support worker for families that are involved with the Ministry of Children, Youth and Families. And we're looking at programs and activities primarily that, again, build the nation to a healthier place and help individuals get to a place where they can fulfill their dreams and goals.
Quachkati, Sasanitla Tamswich. Sasanitla is my traditional name. My name is Lynn Quinn. I'm the housing director for the band. I basically coordinate the whole housing program administrated for the band. I work with a group of housing trustees and a couple of other staff members, and we liaison with the band members, the contractors, suppliers, to not only build but to maintain our housing. And just generally being able to help our band members to try to maintain and obtain affordable housing. I really enjoyed that aspect of it.
Hello, my name is Peter Jamayev. I'm the Shishalh Indian Government District Manager, and I also wear a second hat. I look after all the public works activities, and the title of that position is Director of Public Works. Public Works generally looks after all the band member needs, looks after some of the roads, it looks after the buildings, the docks. Whatever needs fixing comes to Public Works. The SIGD is basically the government arm of SIB, and what we do is we levy taxes and we produce bylaws, which are laws by which the band lands are governed. So we are basically the government arm. I certainly enjoy working with the band members to look after their needs as well. So it's great to be here.
Keith Reynolds. Hi, I'm Keith Reynolds. I'm the Director of Human Resources. In my role, I work with the employees, directors, CAO, and council to take care of all matters related to human resources. Some of the things that keep me busy are human resources planning, advertising, and interviewing for vacant positions, succession planning, job descriptions, and performance management. I work closely with payroll, helping to address payroll and benefits questions, and put together the overall payroll budget each year. The success of the nation depends partly on its staff, and one of the great benefits of working in human resources is that it connects me with staff from every department. I really enjoy that.
Hi, I'm Vicki McFarlane, the Chief Operations Officer for the Sanco Group of Companies. Our corporate group is comprised of two divisions, a land development division and a forestry development division. Our land development division is comprised of our Land Development Corporation and the Sanco Village Shopping Centre LP. We address all leasing inquiries, negotiate leases, provide continuous communications with the tenants, and manage all common area responsibilities, including landscaping, maintenance, and janitorial duties. As responsible stewards of the land, our forest companies support the Shishalh Nation's stewardship goals and requirements for the harvest of timber and preservation of the land base within the territory. Sanco works closely with the Lands and Economic Development Departments, Rights and Title, and SIGD within the Shishalh Nation administration on all projects and developments to support responsible stewardship of the land and resources.
My name is Jessie August. I'm the Director of Lands and Economic Development for the nation. Contract management is a huge component of what I do. We currently are managing about 400 agreements in all of our band lands. The economic development piece is property development, business development, assisting with capacity building, training opportunities, employment opportunities for the nation members. And I work in conjunction with many other departments. The gravel operation, which is going on just over here, that's one of our largest lessees and one of our biggest relationships that we manage. So a huge part of what we do is relationship management as well.
Hello everyone, my name is Sid Quinn. My ancestral name is Canal. I'm the Resource Director for the Shishalh First Nation. The department has been involved in many activities this past year. One of our huge accomplishments has been Saginaw Lake and seeing almost 500 adult sockeye returned back. As well, we've been assessing many of the streams at the head of Shishalh Inlet, doing habitat studies, surveys, water monitoring stations, as well as juvenile assessments to see just what effects the hatchery have had on those small streams. We've also been assessing many of the beaches throughout our territory, looking at Honeichin, Sonai, Vancouver Bay, Narrows Inlet, and we've also looked at wild oyster populations around Skytes Island, St. Vincent's Bay, Killam Bay, and Blind Bay. It was a fantastic year this past summer on Fraser River sockeye. There's almost 22 million Fraser River sockeye that ran through our territory, and we were able to harvest sockeye for the community to help fill everybody's freezers and provide important traditional foods to the community.
Hi everyone, my name is Jasmine Paul. I'm the director of the Shishalh Nation Rights and Title Department. The job of the department is to work with the Chief and Council and to support their ongoing negotiations with the Crown at the federal, provincial, and local levels. Our job is to review and provide technical advice on applications for development within the territory and for policies that regulate those developments. We also work collaboratively with various experts and, of course, Shishalh elders to collect knowledge about Shishalh Nation history and Shishalh Nation lands that are then used in our work and our job of reconciliation with the Crown at the federal, provincial, and local levels.
Hi, my name is Nadine Hone and I am the Chief Administrative Officer for the Shishalh Nation. As the CAO, I report directly to our Chief and Council through our Chief Councillor and Hewos. As the CAO, I am responsible for the day-to-day management and operations of our organization, and this includes the provision of support to the Council in its governance, planning, and policy setting roles, the management of our operations through the development, implementation, and maintenance of programs and services, policies, and procedures. I provide direction and coordination of our key management staff, including finance, human resources, communications, and our divisional managers. I'm responsible for supporting a fantastic team of directors to achieve the goals and implement the programs and policies that have been set by our council and outlined in our strategic plans and budgets. I support the maintenance of key working relationships within our organization, as well as between our organization and other First Nations, governments in British Columbia, and the Government of Canada.
Got a very special attachment to cedar. Obviously, on my Coast Salish side, we've been using it since time immemorial, so it's very sacred wood to us. We use it for everything from our clothing to we build our houses with it, cook our food with it. You know, we make our boxes, and obviously we carve in it. On my non-Indigenous side, I've got a very strong background in cedar, as my grandfather was an old British shipwright and he used to craft these amazing boats out of cedar. So I've got sort of this dual interest on either side. It's just a stunning wood to work with. Obviously, you've seen the beauty of it. It's got these vibrant colors. You know, it's not your average type of wood. I mean, even in some of these, you can see the sort of, you know, the multi-colors even through the stain. It's gorgeous stuff. It's my main medium to do artwork with.
One thing unique to Coast Salish is the cedar root baskets, because that's what we had in abundance. And being a Shishalh person, all of us were born and raised with grandmothers, grandaunts that would be just renowned, elaborate weavers. And traditionally, when you looked at a basket, you would understand whose family it came from the design elements. And what took place after contact, and especially with the visitors, the tourists that would travel to the Sunshine Coast through the Union Steamship, would be they had expressed interest in our baskets, so the woman would assist and support their families through basket making. So they started to do different design elements, and they even took it a step further that they would collaborate in their baskets to expedite the process. So one woman would work on the structure, the other would work on the bottom, one woman would focus on the body, and then my great-grandmother, who had exceptionally strong hands, she would do the top handle. And these were like, even late in life, these elderly women would travel up the mountains, and they would go and harvest their own cedar roots, which you can imagine would be somewhat labor-intensive.
From high atop Craigan Mountain, it's Chief Calvin Craigan, Michael Morgan on Voices of Shishalh. A nice piece to end this was when BC's Lieutenant Governor arrived in her car with her driver and a bagpipe and all kinds of an entourage, and she came to view the museum. And what did you show her when she went through there?
Well, our people put on a demonstration of the residential school. All the photographs, some of the artifacts of many of our generations of our people who had to suffer through that era, and she got to witness that. She had a strong feeling of what had happened during that era. I think the exhibit in the museum really is very explicit in terms of what our people were put through. The photographs that show in the eyes of our children that they were in a suppressed state, and they never ever recovered from that. And I was very happy that the Lieutenant Governor got to witness some of those pictures in our museum, and you could see that she had that feeling of total depression as much as our children did.
I'm really enjoying being 5,000 feet on your mountain where your medicines grow with you, Chief. And I think that a fitting close to this, which has had some very sad moments that are very much worth going through and absorbing to try to get compassion and understanding. You and your late wife, Jenny, were in fact residential school survivors. And it's not something that I can speak of, but certainly you can. And I think you can close the show this day with those thoughts.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it just so happens that my wife and I both attended residential schools. I attended two. My era ended up in a place called Mission City. My wife went to 3 different residential schools, and her form of abuse was intense. But we went past it, and we started to heal, and we needed to look for reconciliation. And well, I'm still searching, but I think she found hers.
A kind of a sad portion in history, but nonetheless one that actually happened. And will healing come? It can come. It can come in one way, Chief, that you've mentioned, which is people can start the healing process for First Nations in the October election with one thing.
Well, we need strong, courageous leadership. We need the government to recognize and accept that they need to reconcile with the Native people in Canada.
And if they don't, the people have the power of the vote.
That's for sure. And we're going to encourage all the First Nations to vote.
On that note, we say goodbye till next time from the top of paradise here on Voice.
We have the right to inhabit our land, to use our land.
Our culture is about sustaining that relationship with the plants, the animals, in a forest.
I did start drawing a lot in the residential school, really not knowing my culture and traditions.
And I'm very proud to be here today. My name is Halos, and this is my squia.